And in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres, ladies and gentlemen, we all know him, we all love him. Absolutely dominated the first series against Classic 2-0 into this winner's match, looking in impeccable form, looking utterly dominant. It's Serral.
And his opponent in the upper right here in the gold from Team Liquid, the little corporal, the young Frenchman, it's Clem.
And yeah, as you said, right now Serral does have that 100% in recent matches against Terran. And it hasn't been too much. I believe right now I'm gonna try and find it with a matchup, but has not played that many. But even with that, the fact that he has not dropped a single series against Terran is pretty crazy. And that's really only a result that you see from Serral. But the last few people that he's played, it's been Kieran Bjorn in the Caster Civil War, got a 1-0 in either of them. But even before that, in 2022, 2 months ago, in February, 3-1 Maru, 2-0 Special, 2-0 Time, 2-0 Ryung in IEM Katowice. Serral is crazy right now in TVT. The last time he straight up lost a series was King of Battles 2 against Maru in that finals.
Where is that last time he lost a TVZ series, or last time he just lost a series, period?
That's last time he lost a TVZ series.
Okay. See, that is that is a crazy stat. He hasn't literally has not lost a series. No, that's not even true, because we had the DreamHack Last Chance after King of Battles 2.
Yeah.
So never mind. So I'm like, wait, has he not lost a series since last November? That doesn't sound right. No, I mean, I believe it because Serral is just stupid good, but.
But yeah, his all-time form is, it's crazy. It's 76% win rate all-time in this matchup, which is, I think, if you're looking at your whole career, no other player has a stat that high.
I don't know.
Maru.
Did MVP maybe have something like that before he retired?
Yeah. And maybe Maru's TVT is close, is around that, but it's Serral in this matchup. He's always been good. He's absolutely crazy. And so I'm really excited. But on the other side, you do have Clem. And I think, again, Clem became known for his TVZ. That's what put him on the radar.
It's crazy. We talk about, oh, yes, Zerg too strong. They win every single Premier tournament except the events that they lose. Well, you know, one of the benefits of growing up, of developing as a pro in a region that has arguably the top 2 Zergs in the world in it. Yeah, Rogue, Dark, they have a claim to that crown as well, but I mean, Raynor and Serral. Last 2 world champions, the 2 players that played in the world championship of 2022. So, yeah, I think it's fair to say they're probably the 2 best Zergs in the world. You're going against them every day on ladder. Once you get good enough, once you hit the perilous heights of 7.5k MMR, first one to do it. Thank you, Serral, for making it impossible for anyone to get any points. Yeah. Or it's kind of funny, you know, Serral goes and he beats Clem and he gets like 3 ladder points. It's like, okay, well, you know, what does that say?
Yeah, it's crazy how good these players are. As we have Hellions coming out here for Clem. He's going to be going into Banshees with no cloak. One thing that I like about Clem's TVZ, as the cloak is, there we go, started up. It was just a little bit delayed. One thing I like about Clem's TVZ is that it's very much a situation where if you don't shut down Clem early, if you don't do something to just shut down Clem, to find damage, to, you know, get in his way, he will just straight up take you into a macro game and say, all right, I'm confident that I'm going to beat you. Clem was for the longest time a fan of the quick third CC, and I think has even gone for that in this game. And it's just a build that he does so often because he's so confident in his ability to defend early and also to transition that into a very strong mid game.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We've really started to see this really not even stylistic, this incredibly dichotomous TVZ breakdown where we're seeing Terran players either go for, I mean, taking a page out of Kira's book, go for a 3-Rex or something like that, 2-on-1, go heavily on the aggressive end. Or very much on the, yeah, I'm going to take my 4th base at 730. I'm just going to go greedy as hell. We're going to go straight to Ghosts because Ghosts are good. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that it feels like we're lacking more of kind of this middle ground play. But for now, Banshee's going to find its way on it. He's going to get, what, 2 workers, but really heavily forced back here. Not too much value from Clem, but behind this, I mean, he's happy. His third base is done. It's not mining just yet. It is the Banshee goes down there. Good positioning there from Serral. He's reading Clem like a book. But the game goes on. Oh, wait, the aliens? Are there enough lings? There should be enough lings behind, right? Yes, maybe. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, Surround's gonna try and come on through. It's not that many lings. There's so many Hellions, but the Queens are also coming in for the surround. And Serral is gonna completely collapse and just destroy everything. I mean, you lose a Banshee, you lose 8 Hellions now. And this is a very bad start to the game for Clem.
Yeah, that was a great bait there from Serral. He says, you know what? I'm going to make it look like I don't have enough lings. That sounds like a fun time. And meanwhile, I absolutely do. I have the perfect surround. I'm going to block you off from getting it anyways because my Evo cancels are best in the world. Because we need to be superlative here in all things because the man's name is Serral. And look at where he's going. This is not Lingbane Hydra. This is not Lingbane Muta. No. This is 1-1 Roach. This is a style that we saw Serral do against Say King of Battles 2 in Game 1 and Curious. But in general, this is not a style we see Serral do all that much at all.
Yeah, and it's interesting because these players do play a lot, and we do see Clem is going to Widow Mines just because Lingbane has been so prevalent in the current meta. That's what everyone is doing, and so were this, 4 months ago, I would actually not like the 1-1 Roach time because Clem was a player who would just build a ton of tanks early and get a ton of defensive units and play with that as, Queen's here, a little bit far forward. The Marines can fight this, gonna get some transfuses out. But because you have Widow Mines coming out, and because that's a Nidus Worm, which means that Serral's going to be bringing the Queens across as well, and Clem has no idea that this is happening, this can get so much. This can probably end the game if Clem does not respond perfectly.
I mean, we do have to remember that this is a almost non-committal Nidus. I mean, yes, it is a Nidus. You are committing to it. This is 1-1 Roach. But I feel this is not going to be a Nidus that, okay, you drop it in the main base. I don't think. That's not the goal here. It's just going to allow for really quick reinforcement. So you're going to have that big clump of roaches run across, and just immediately behind that, well, you have a Nidus behind. But for now, I mean, Clem is doing a really good job of trying to make it really hard for Serral to move out of the map here, but it also means that Serral can jump on top of this army. Widowmine shots are going to go off. Oh, okay, there we go. Ling is going to make sure that does not happen. Now the army of Serral is on the march. Clem has to run back home. Tail between his legs. He's got to make sure the hold happens. Are we going to see a Nidus in the main? Is that what Serral's going for? Yes, it is. Okay. Army at the front. Nidus in the main base. Widowmines are actually surprisingly good here. We have a Banshee in the army as well. No Queens here to defend. So there is a timing. Eventually these roaches will run on out. The Widowmine shots are so good, Titan. But the question is it gonna be enough? It's not consistent DPS, and here we go. There are the Queens. We're gonna see the force base under fire. Clem maybe just being a little bit too greedy here because the roaches up front, they are doing a lot, and the Queens behind. 20 workers have died.
I mean, the Widow Mines are getting so much damage, but there's still Queens in the main. Clem has not been able to stim into this Roach Ball. Finally gets a tank out, but it's only a singular one. GG, Clem. Gonna have to tap out. Serral just commits across the map and is gonna find the kill. That was a deadly timing.
So Titan, I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, Serral is almost looking better than he did in Katowice.
Yeah, it's it's crazy because we always, when we look at Serral, we always say there's no way that he can get better. There's no way that he can continue to, play this well or just find ways to be even more efficient. And then Serral comes in and he says, actually, in his Serral, he says, actually, I figured out the game. It turns out you can just kill your opponent. Yeah,
that works. What's the the two schools of thought of StarCraft, right? On the one hand, we have the age-old adage: if you're ahead, get more head. Make your base and defense it. On the other hand, we have the modern StarCraft players handbook that says, if your opponent's doing something weird, just go kill him. And yeah, in fairness, Clem was not doing anything super weird. He was playing a normal game, and Serral just kind of said, I'm going to kill him anyways, because why wait? I got to go play golf.
Yeah, it's really insane. And Serral, I think one of the reasons why he's so good and a lot of people do bring this up, is his scouting. The way that Serral controls information, the way that Serral uses that to his advantage. I mean, the most obvious advantage, or the most obvious use, is the Overlords. Serral's scouting with Overlords is absolutely insane. He always gets an Overlord in to see what's going on. It always happens. You can't stop it. Even if you get 2 Vikings early, you're not going to stop it. He'll somehow find a way to get a Ling in, to get an Overlord, and he uses that to have a complete knowledge of what's happening in the game. And then, as we saw that last game, you hide the Lings. You wait to bait the Hellions in, get this round with the Queens, and then you spring the trap. Just taking advantage of the vision that you have and the just information that you're able to gain from it. Serral's able to make these really smart decisions where he says, all right, I know that I've completely neutralized the early game. Now I can just do whatever I want, and I can make this 1-1 roach timing without Clem ever knowing that it's coming across the map.
This is very true, but you know what? Clem's going to try to... Actually, I was going to make a bad joke. We're not going to do that here, folks. The only bad jokes are actually not going to exist because the games are too good. And look at what Clem's doing here. Again, we talked about this in the creator game. It worked out for him in one game. We see... Actually, no, it didn't work out. That was the Berlingrad game, but Clem going to run across the map with just a couple Marines. He's hoping to maybe catch an Overlord, maybe catch a couple Lings early, just fight Serral before he really has what he needs. But you talk about roaches. We got a roach horn on the way again. This time, though, it's not the 1-1 roach timing. This is the, yeah, let me go across the map. I'm going to build 8 roaches. I'm going to try to hit you. I'm going to build 31 workers. It's a tempo move, not exactly this, yeah, I'm going to go in this big Nidus roach timing.
Yeah, it's really attempting to just find some damage. You're going to build a few Ravagers, try and knock down the front, and really catch your opponent off guard. I do like this pressure, though, from Clem. He just brings a few Marines over, has a few Hellions, and the Reaper. And you're going to start to pressure down this third base. And the Roaches, well, they're not out quite yet. You don't have a ton of Lings being produced. Eventually, the Queens will push it back, but Clem just... Ooh. Serral was mad at his own Queen there. He said, you didn't get enough damage done. What's happening?
How dare you do that? Now, the Hellions, they're on creep here. That's going to be a lot of them. Nope. No, they go off creep. They are able to escape. One thing I want to point out, this roach timing that we got coming on in from Serral, he's actually going to commit to this a lot more than I expected, building 10 more Lings. Banshees are on the way. Right, which does mean that any sort of roach play is not going to be nearly as powerful as now Clem also has the scout, so he's going to run on home here. He's going to try to find the Hellions, looking for the surround here, and these Marines, they will fall. The Hellions will find their way home, but on the balance of things, Titan, I think I'd prefer keeping those Marines alive.
Yeah, not what you want. I think those Marines behind the wall are a lot better as the Banshee is here and it can start to knock down these roaches. And of course, this does just kind of shut down entirely what Serral is going to want to do. But the question is, can Serral find damage before this Banshee knocks down the Ravager, knocks down the roaches? And the answer is probably. Wall goes down, a nice rewall here from Clem. Widowmine is even going to go up, so you're going to delay the command center. But I think that's just about the value that Serral is going to be able to get. His second Banshee is out. And 4 SCVs did end up going down as you're trying to push in. Widowmine goes off, and all the roaches end up falling. Serral was never able to commit in with the Zerglings.
No, you're right, he wasn't. And Serral committed more to that than you would normally do. Right, he got a lot of Lings. He didn't go to 7 roaches and build Ravagers off that. That was 10 roaches. It might seem, oh, it's only 3 roaches. Well, yeah, that's actually, that's 225 minerals. That's 75. That's like 175 gas, something like that. That's a lot of money in the early game when you're trying to go and you're trying to expand and you're trying to get bigger, especially with how exponential the Zerg economy is. But Serral, he's going to get another surround here. Kind of trying to set one up, but no, he's going to go off creep. 1 Hellion goes down. Clem microing that one a little bit better. 2 workers go down on the other side. So game 1 was just a perfect game for Serral. Game 2, it feels like Clem, he's a little bit happier as he does, again, lose a lot of Hellions, but he is able to trade out for Lings fairly decently. Again, is this as bad for Clem? No, he's actually probably in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, much happier with this position than you are with that game 1. The 3rd command center already landed down. Tanks are in production because, of course, you know that the Roach Warren is already finished. The Zerg isn't really going to commit to any... It's like switching up the tack because you already have the Roaches. You might as well just commit into them. This is a good map for Roaches as well. Berlingrad, a lot of open space to find surrounds. And it's a lot easier to defend with Roaches on this map because you're not really fighting through any choke points at your bases. As we do have a nice Ling run by here from Serral's actually going to be able to find quite a bit of damage onto that worker line. Clem will eventually bring some Marines over. We'll be able to clean it up. And you have that +1/+1 combat shields on the way. Stim is already done. And Clem's just going to be powering up from this point on both these players. It's kind of a handshake moment, a mutual respect. All right, Serral, I'm going to take my 4th. Clem says, well, I'm going to get my upgrades out on additional barracks. And, you know, maybe I'll push back some creep with some medevacs. But you're not really going to be looking for any serious damage.
This is true. And also, look what, man, Serral, he's playing a style that I thought was dead. You know, we had this dark, you go 1/1 roaches, you go into quick lurkers behind that. You take advantage of just having really quick ranged upgrades for your splash damage units for your lurkers, and it felt like it was really powerful for about a month. And then Zerg players said, yeah, actually I know how to punish, or Terran players said, I know how to punish this. I'm going to be able to outpush you, I'm going to outdrop you, I'm going to take advantage of how bad roaches really are at defending multi-pronged aggression. And by the time you get to lurkers, that's fine. I've killed a base and I've done enough. But Serral's going back to it. He has really taken no damage thus far. Clem, on the read that this is a 1/1 roach timing that he needs to be afraid of, is bunkering up the 3rd base. He's in this solid defensive position because that's what Serral did to in game 1. Meanwhile, the creep is over 50% of the way on the map. Serral's happy on 4 bases. His hive is just about done. Lurker Den on the way. And Clem does not feel like he has the right read in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where giving Serral time is always scary, but mind you, that worker count 74 to 66. I mean, the Terran's in a really solid spot. We should see the 4th command center be going down at some point in the near future, but as it is now, you're going to be having constant rune production. You have the 1/1, you have 3 tanks here, and you do have Serral trying to get into Hydralisks. You actually have the Hydra Den finish up. Lurker Den, as you said, is on the way with that +2/+2. You know, getting into Lurker is very strong here, but you also have to fight the army, and just look how many Marines there are, but that's a nice bile. 2 tanks go down, and there's Infestors as a fungal gets everything. The roaches collapse, and that is a massive fight from Serral.
People told me Infestors were not good units anymore. Well, if you chain fungals like that, what was that, 50% of that army went down in the blink of an eye. And those biles on the retreat as well. Serral knocking down 2 tanks. It was looking like, man, Clem had this incredible fight. He had the concave. His tanks were sieged on up. Oh no, Serral, you've been caught in your transition. And then Serral says, no. You don't get to beat me. You don't get to even find an advantage in this game. Every time you think you got it, well, I got the X factor. I got a way to make something happen. I'm going to kill off all your Marines in the blink of an eye. And hey, my lurkers are ready now. I have lurker range halfway done. My 2/2 is halfway done. That timing you were looking for, it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone noticed Clem's face as soon as that fungal landed. He was not happy with that. The Infestor just slipping 2 out. You know, it was hard to notice, but Serral just gets these 2 units out, knows that they're going to be useful, uses them to pretty much completely shut down this Marine time, because now we're going to have a double-pronged attack. I don't like this first one, though. Tanks are already there, but the second one into the 3rd base. Now that can get a little bit more success here. Lots of lurkers will be able to knock down these supply depots. Marines and Marauders are being brought on over, but again, it's 2/2 lurkers almost. I don't know if you really want to fight this. Sure, they only have 1/1 now, but you're just going to take so much damage. Clem's still going to take the fight and actually cleans them all up. Clem just knows that he has enough. He's able to get rid of a lot of those very gas-intensive units for Serral.
Yeah, but man, that was so much of that army went down with that fight. It's like, yeah, I got 5 lurkers, but my bio is not really there. So Serral remaxes. He is on 5 bases now. One of the downsides, quote-unquote downsides of the style that Serral is playing is you don't expand as quickly. You don't build quite as big of an economy because roaches are supply-intensive. Ravagers even more so. But we're looking at a TVC where the Terran has lost more than the Zerg, which is never a good situation to be in, as once again, the army of Serral looking to find pressure onto the 3rd base. Biles are going to get dropped. No, the tank hot pickup is going to be happier. Does Clem have the round he needs for now the 3rd base? It will get broken on in here. Alien Infestor sitting behind Serral. Clem is so scared to take this fight. He doesn't want to eat those bundles anymore, so he's going to sit on the high ground, say, okay, you broke my 3rd base. I only lost 8 workers. The Biles are going to push my command center off a little bit, but for now, I'm not really going to look to take this fight, Serral. I know what you're about.
Yeah, right now Serral is just on the 5 bases, but is working on that +3 Carapace. Going to be eventually transitioning into getting some Lings and Ultras out with the +1 melee attack, but I do like this from Clem. He just retreats. He doesn't take the fight because really you can't afford to. If you lose everything there, that's the game. You just know that you have to back up. You know, you're still at a really healthy worker count as Clem, but now this army is going to swing to the other side of the map and you don't have any vision on it. Uh-oh, Clem getting out positioned here by Serral as the fungals, not that good, and the snipes are actually really good to start this off. There's also a repair on this planetary fortress. Serral steps a little bit too far forward and gets punished.
Man, this is... Look how Serral is playing the map right now. He just got a Nidus left and Nidus right and says, yeah, I'm going to bounce back and forth. I'm going to use the Nidus as almost how it feels like it was meant to be played, not as this all-in tool, although that's how it tends to be used, but just as this ability to reposition, to run around the map, the Zerg's equivalent of drop play almost. And he's really using it to its full extent. But the one thing we got to worry about, again, Serral's creep spread is incredible. He's maxed out here. His economy is fantastic. He's very happy. But as the Terran approaches 3-3, as the Terran approaches a critical mass of ghosts, it does feel like this composition that Serral has gone for does start to age out a little bit. It does start to trade pretty heavily in the Terran's favor. So Serral's going to look to try to break it before it happens as the army looking to run on in once again. EMP doesn't hit anything. But then still the infestors, they're not in just yet. They're going to sit the back of things.
Man, there's just so many tanks there for Clem. So much splash damage. A lot of the army gets cleaned up before it's even able to surround Clem's army. And, you know, right now, it's really hard for Serral to find an angle. Even though he has that lurker burrow speed, of course, it did get nerfed. It is just a little bit slower. And that's the main reason why we haven't seen lurkers, because the real strength in the lurker was that with the tunneling, with the adaptive talons, you were able to have an extremely mobile army with such strong AoE that you could just move around, collapse onto units, or collapse onto an army, and it would burrow so quick that your opponent had to be instant on their reactions. That's not really the case anymore. The burrow is a lot slower as queens are focused down. Only one does end up falling before Clem has to pick on up. But right now we're approaching 3-3 for both these players. It's a Spire on the way. Serral is going to be looking for a different composition for the later game. He doesn't want to just commit to lurkers. He's going to be looking for those broodlords potentially.
Man, Serral always going to go for the fungal right here. He's going to get all... Nope, he's dead. Ran too far into missile turret range. I got all excited. Not going to work on out. But yeah, you talk about compositional change. We have +1 melee done now. Lots of banelings on the field. And this is Serral adapting to the heavy ghost style. You know, sure, it takes 6 Banes to kill a ghost. That's not great. But it forces ghosts to split. It cancels their snipes, it does cancel their snipes. It makes it a little bit harder for them to play the game that they want to play, and that's the goal. I mean, you're not going to kill ghosts, really, but at the very least, you can make it hard to play with them, and it can make it hard to find that value. But look at this, another fight kicking on in onto the north side. Blinding clouds on top of so many of these tanks. One command center, it falls immediately. Clem looking to micro on backwards. Planetary, it's under threat. The tanks, so they're still firing, and now the army of Serral is going to be forced back once again. We're starting to hit that point, Titan. I'm getting a little worried. The trades are not nearly as cost-effective as they once were.
That was such a good pullback from Clem into the tank line. Even though the blinding clouds were great, still at 2 tanks firing, managed to get rid of all the banelings. And now you're going to be looking at Clem trying to go up to 5 bases. Doing double prong pressure right now. Should be able to snipe this hatchery, no problem. Will be replaced pretty quickly, but still managing to find this damage on the other front. Snipes and Overlord has to get on out. These Vipers being added in, Infestors will be remade, so Serral will have these spellcasting options. And again, this is how Serral wins the late game, is with his spellcasters. He's so efficient with these units. We see it in his ZVP, we see it in his ZVT as well. But the real question is, what's the late game right now for Clem? Right now, it's just tanks and ghosts. Isn't really adding on anything like Liberators, which we do see as usually a kind of a counter to the lurkers when those are added in. But because there's no lurkers, just relying on the tanks isn't bad, because what you want to do is get up a high enough tank count that the Vipers don't have enough energy to blinding cloud or abduct all of them.
Oh, we're gonna see, because right now an army moving in on the right side here. Ghosts, I don't know that they have cloak, but they're just gonna micro on backwards. Bailey's not really getting the connections they need to start here, but oh, the ghosts are under such heavy threat. No medevac to keep them alive. They gotta run so far back, but even still, a couple tanks died again. Clem holds the 4th base. The Banelings do not get the connections they need, and now Clem, he's solidly on 5 bases. You know, 5 minutes ago, Clem was down 1,000 minerals, down 1,000 resources. Now he's up 8,000. He's starting to really heavily outtrade here. But you mentioned, okay, look, there are no Liberators on the way. It really is just Ghost Tank. Well, now we do have Liberators. But the other thing that I think is rather interesting, and might just be that Clem is kind of broke right now, we're not seeing that late game mech transition that Maru is saying, yeah, this is how you beat Zerg in the late game. You go bio, you get a lot of ghosts, and as the game goes super late, you say, I'm going to go into Ghost Mech, because that is kind of the god composition that is better than anything else. Hey, nice EMP there. He's not going to get the Vipers, but he does diminish their utility. A couple of Hydras go down as well. Clem, for the first time in this game, it feels like he can have consistent presence on the map.
Yeah, right now sitting at 5 bases, but look at how many bases Serral has. While he's been applying pressure and while he has been losing a lot of these trades, behind it, what has been happening? Well, it's been exploding up to 8 bases now on the way here for Serral. More infestors in production. That greater Spire on the way. We are going to see the Broodlords eventually, but Serral needs time to get up into that composition. As this choke point, you do not want to run up into that. So many Lings go down with just a few tank shots.
I mean, the Ghosts as well, 1-tapping, 2-tapping all the Lings. They do a surprising amount. You think of them, oh yeah, they're EMP bots. They're snipe bots. No, they actually do a lot of damage to light units as well. As now, look at this. Oh, Clem, cheeky little man. He says, yeah, let me go. I'm going to drag you on in. And look at how he's scanning his own army. He knows the way that Serral wants to play. He says, yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to look to make sure these fumbles do not happen. Round Titan coming on in from every side. The tanks are not getting what they need. The fungals on the backside are moving on in anyways. It's the best fight. Serral's taking a while, and it's still not great.
Still not that. I mean, it looked so good at the start, but so many Banelings go down. I think the Vipers ended up falling in with the Liberators added on. You're able to zone out a lot of the Hydralisks. It was such a good start to it, but again, Clem keeps all of his high-value units alive. Sure, the tanks go down, but he has plenty more where those came from. Now is adding in Liberators, and that is the late-game tech that you're looking for with this composition, is the Liberators, to zone out the ground army, getting +3 for these tanks. This army from Clem, it doesn't want to die, and now we're going to see Serral once again try and commit into this planetary fortress. But at this point, I think you're almost losing more than you're gaining from getting the kill on it. It's mining out. Most of the SCVs are saved, and now again, you're losing so many Banelings and Lings as the Ghosts are here. And Serral's just committing in constantly and not winning these trades.
I mean, there are still 8 mineral patches on that 4th base. It is still an efficient position to go into. His Lings are going to find this base as well. We're starting to kind of hit this point where it becomes really hard for Clem to defend everywhere he needs to defend. As we will see, there we go. That burrowed Ling is not going to last all that long. It's really hard for Clem to defend the bottom right and the middle, or the bottom left and the middle right at the same time. So I think we're going to see maybe Clem just focus on the bottom side here for just a little bit. Lets him put more pressure on the Zerg, and also lets him take a base. That is always going to be nice. The army looking to move on in. We got a bunch of Lings, Banes on the right side. Serral kind of recognizing that he does not want to take a straight up fight anymore. The army of Clem is too powerful, so he says, okay, I'm going to fight. I'm going to try to nip away at your stomach lining. I'm going to try to knock you down here. And Lings, Banes, they find their way on in. Are they going to supply block Clem? Looks like the answer is no, even as the supply depots go down. But every time this happens, it becomes easier for Serral to start to camp the production, to start to cut away at the ability for the Terror to reinforce the way he would like.
Yeah, and Clem really should have had something to inform him that this army was here. He's going to knock down another base of Serral's, with the fact that he's lost now his 4th. He's lost his natural. I mean, Serral isn't going to be in the game, and that's the good news for Clem. A lot of times when you're the Terran in that situation, the Zerg gets into your main base, camps the production, then the game is over from there on out. But that's not the case. Clem is going to be able to stay alive here. He's going to be able to push down the space. He's going to be able to keep expanding into this bottom left-hand corner, but it's getting a little bit sketchier now. You know, the planetary fortress going down, it wasn't the worst. Serral committed a lot. You could recover, but the fact that you now lose the natural, that now the right side of the map is pretty much open for Serral to do whatever he wants, that's a bit more worrying.
Importantly, you know, not only is the right side open, it is dark for Clem. He does not really have a good understanding of when, say, Serral swings in with half the army on the right side, or whether he just goes for something like this. There are so many Banelings. Oh, he gets the EMP! He fuggles the Ghost, he gets the EMP, and now the Ghosts are just about useless. They cannot cloak, they cannot run. Serral, he knocks another base down, and my goodness, Serral is just a god. That's not fair.
Every time it feels like, oh, Serral, is he misstepping? No, Serral knows exactly what he's doing. Another fungal from the burrow, and all the Ghosts are going to go down. Clem, it was such a good fight in this game, but Serral, he's just too good. He's the god gamer, Beo.
Ah, man, this game, look, Clem was fighting his way back. He had 5 bases. He was starting to really trade well. He had a critical mass of Ghosts, and look at this. There's another Infestor on the backside. I don't know if it's going to be scanned out. Looks like it is, as we see the Neural on the tank, just buying time for Serral to get on in there. And now the Hydras, they're actually not going to kill the Liberator. It's going to take him a moment, but there we go. At this point, though, there's not much of an army here for Clem. All of his production's in the main. He cannot rally on over to defend this outlying base all that quickly. So again, the bottom right base looks like it's going to get broken soon enough here. Although I guess the rally is going to be fine for now. But Clem is not mining. Clem is really, his mineral income is not increasing all that much. And sure, yeah, Serral has lost 12,000 resources more. It does not matter at this point. The income is just incontrovertible, insurmountable. There we go.
I just feel like, and the big issue there for Clem is that you're trying to take this fight, you're trying to push, but also all of his tanks are still, you know, somewhere at his thirds. There's one in his main. You're having to be safe with these tanks, and you need these tanks to stop Serral from pushing in like that. And finally, we're going to see more being brought over. But the fact that he had 3 at his 5th base when he's trying to take a 6th, you know, that is just really hard to come back from. As we're going to see another Neural Parasite here onto one of the siege tanks. This tank line is a lot deeper, though, and the Marine pullback is fairly good. Doesn't matter, though. Blinding Clouds go down. All the tanks are going to fall, and Clem just lost too much earlier on to be able to try and fight back into this game. Once the 6th base goes down once again, that should be that all she wrote for Clem. And Serral just looking so gosh darn good. GG.